picture-perfect Saturday here in Hallandale Beach for Thoroughbred Racing. We're off and running on this Saturday edition, Preakness Day of Gulfstream today. Pete Aiello, the track announcer here at Gulfstream Park. Jason Lewitt alongside. Good to have you with us. A happy Preakness Day to all, and to you, my big man.
Yeah, battered and bruised. You keep taking me to the woodshed here the last couple of days. I don't know how many people beat the expert yesterday, but it certainly wasn't me.
Well, you know what? We had a good race. It was some fun. We'll do it all again, but I know I have a big stack. In fact, two big stacks of pancakes coming my way. Sit tight for our little wager on today's card. Now, as far as getting sort of the formalities out of the way, it is Preakness Day after all. We want you out here with us at beautiful Gulfstream Park. And just a few moments ago, a check of the odds, and thanks to the boys upstairs in the control room, a rundown of who sits at where. They're obviously subject to change given the amount of money that is yet to come in Preakness 142. But I am surprised, even this far out from post at 648, just how tight Always Dreaming and Classic Empire are.
Yeah, you and I both talked off camera about that. I agree completely. I think that of the horses that you see on your screen that are taking part in the Preakness, the value is actually the favorite, just from a standpoint of what the resume says versus what the price says. 7 to 5 is great value if you can get it.
Amazing. People love betting, and at times I fall victim to this. They love betting either obvious lone speed or, in this case, the obvious awful last out trip.
Yeah, and that's true. And I guess, you know, it's the kind of the anti-wise guy play, because everybody saw what some of us would deem to be a lot of trouble. Some of us would say, you know, that, well, he had trouble, but I don't think he's going to win anyway, kind of thing. And it's his third race in 5 weeks. So there are some chinks in the armor for pretty much everybody in this
Yeah, that's
field.
the thing I don't like. The real hang-up, or at least why I think he's vulnerable for finishing second if Always Dreaming wins. It's a third race in 5 weeks. Well said there, Pete. And we look to see if our Florida Derby and Kentucky Derby winner, 2 derbies already, he'll look for a third consecutive Grade 1 score. Always Dreaming will in today's 142nd Preakness. They are well underway on that Saturday card at Pimlico. We've got you covered, though, and a little incentive to join us here today at Gulfstream Park. Come on out, buy a track program and/or a daily racing form. How you liking the digs there?
I wish I could get my hands on one, although I don't know if we have my size per se. But for those of you who are on track, if you're listening to this audio, the Redemption Center has opened. It's 12:02. You have until 3 o'clock to show your programs at the South Program Stand. That would be if you're thinking about where we are behind us, and you can redeem those from 12 o'clock up until 3.
And I'm sure, don't worry, they have plenty of mediums in stock, my friend. All right, let's move on. A little too obvious
there. We go.
All right.
I'm going to rope-a-dope. I'm going to just let you beat me up, and then I'll hope you tire yourself out, and then a little...
All right. Now, as far as beat the expert, and again, admittedly, we use the term expert loosely. We congratulate the 3 winners, Christine Bullard, Ricardo Fernandez, and Paul Conley. You took me down yesterday. We keep this up. We're going to run out of those beautiful Gulfstream Park Beat the Expert polos. You can play each and every Friday, and mercifully, I am not on this coming Friday. It will either be Acacia or Ron Nicoletti, who we miss. But we're glad you're here with us.
Well, I think the verbal abuse is probably about the same.
Yeah, indeed it is.
I can probably juke and jive a little bit better than Ronnie can.
Yeah, Ron's an easy target as much as we love him, the mayor of Gulfstream. Now, as far as what's going on, we've got a few multi-race wagers today. Obviously, the Rainbow Six kind of builds as the crescendo. For what it's worth, though, at approximately 1 p.m., a little earlier than usual, we start the Gulfstream Park Saturday card with fast and firm conditions with that dollar rolling super high 5 of about 2,000 in the carryover pool. Little early pick 5 action, and the Rainbow Six, my friend, although we saw some wacky results yesterday, it was not hit for the single.
Well, I don't know about you, but yesterday you made the comment you thought yesterday's card was difficult. I thought today's card was borderline impossible, not from a standpoint of not being good betting races. There's too many of them and too many contenders. For my money, I can't get involved with any sort of solid singles today, which is what you really need if you want to take down that jackpot.
Yeah, I tried to force arguably a single in my Rainbow Six, which we'll have a bit later in this edition of Gulfstream today. Late pick 5 kicks off in race number 7. Scheduled post of about 6:30 to wrap up the card, and of course the Preakness shown live on NBC. Their post time is 6:48 p.m. So without further ado, my friend, let's dive into the first of 11. I hope you got a good night's sleep. You've got some chunky size fields and big fields to call today. The racing is good at Gulfstream.
Yeah, it sure is. A very competitive card. I mean, don't mistake what I said earlier. earlier about it being impossible. It's impossible in a very good way.
Yes.
You're going to be able to get some good value all afternoon long. It's just a matter of deciphering the contenders from the pretenders and the overlays from the underlays. No different than any other day. It's just a little bit more bulky, as you say here today.
All right.
First race of the afternoon starts that early pick 5. I don't think I've got out of the first leg since I've teamed up with you. I don't know if there's a relation there, if you're the black cat or if I'm just terrible. I don't know which, but we'll try to get out four deep in today's first race. I'll use the 1-horse Smart and True. He's going for 5 in a row. More on him when we talk about the race. The 4 Pickett's Corner is the top selection of Mike Welsh. I agree with that. He'll offer you some value. He's 10-1 right now. 5 Live and Joy. I scratched into him with Rizron being out, and I'm using the 9 My Cowboy, who is taking a little bit of early action. He's really good when he puts his mind on business, and he's in a career low position here today. I'll go 4 deep. The singles in the second, it's either Pletcher or Wesley Ward. You chose race Wesley Ward. I'll take Pletcher and single him. 3 deep in the third, 1, 4, and 6. We both like the 4 in there. The 6 is the sneaky. The 1 is the obvious. Fourth race is tough, even for a 6-horse field. I think there's at least 4 contenders in there. I'll use the Lisa Lewis first-timer from the rail, Gustavo Delgado with a horse that has a steady string of works, and number 5, Baba Toby, who had a useful debut against a strong field. Close it out in race number 5 with 3 horses. The 1, Eric's Talisman, has been real good lately. The number 6 horse, Spurs and Bows, is the likely favorite. I don't care for him. I just don't want him to beat me. And the number 8, Nutty Boy, might be the value in here if you think Sano has him ready off the shelf. He has fired good off the shelf before.
Like the ticket, minus the fact you did not use Remarkable Tail, scratched out of a much tougher race yesterday against the Vast Matey. No way that horse could have beat that 1-5 shot. I think he gets the upset, mild upset at that in race number 5, but more on that after we pick our way through the first 4 races on the program that begins at 1 p.m. 3 and up, 10K claimers in the first. Mr. Pete, Smart and True, you picked him on top. He is without a doubt, and we saw a couple of horses on the precipice of winning 5 in a row yesterday in Jaden's Best and Ventina. They came up empty at crunch time. The Smart and True do it, and how important is the pace?
Yeah, the pace is really important. My Cowboy is the key to this race, as being the guy who follows the racing in Tampa all winter long. This horse gets real brave when he gets on the lead, and he's never seen horses at this level. This is a career low for My Cowboy. You'll notice that 5 of his races were on this turf course, and he has had no success. I promise you that's simply because of the caliber of horse that he faced. 3 of those 5 races were stakes races that he tried to run on this course. He's not that good. He's in for 10,000 here today. I personally believe that Smart and True does not need to make the lead. If you're My Cowboy, you send and hope for the best. If you're Jose Alvarez on the rail horse, you take hold and flank the leader of My Cowboy. That's the way I envision the pace to go. But it's funny, we're now on day 3 of you and I working together. We've never had so many jabs exchanged, but we have such similar handicapping styles. We're on the same 4 horses in the open.
Too much of a wise guy here, too much of a wise guy here. It's just the reality. Now, the 1 Smart and True, let's look at his 4th consecutive victory, backtracking to April 30th as we go about 270 miles west of Gulfstream Park to Oldsmar, Florida. This is a horse, and you kind of, hit the nail on the head, my friend. He has got multiple weapons in his bag of tricks. He does not need the lead to win.
No, he doesn't. And he also was racing on the bias. The Tampa turf course the last 30 days of the meet was a paved highway. If you got any sort of favorable scenario up front, you were very much akin to going gate to wire. And more to the point, it was very difficult to make ground from far back. Oxford Street, who ran second in that race, was the key contender, but he was also last in the early stages. He was racing against the bias, Smart and True with the bias. It's a little bit of a flattering effort.
All right, fair enough. Now, Steve Caceres, who had a winner on yesterday's card, I've seen him do great work with some of the older claimers in New York. Frazel comes to mind. He did a good job with year and a half ago. I'm hoping that trend continues with the 5 Live and Joy, who did not show anything for Steve in 3 races last summer. They were against better fields, and his recent form, or I should say his most recent form, ending his 8-year-old campaign, was not much to write home about. What won me over, I can't see the barn giving Tyler Gaffalione a call on this horse as a 9-year-old off the layoff if they did not think they had him in good shape.
And he likes this course. He's proven over this race course, and he did it very impressively. That was back when he was in the Efren Loza Jr. shed row. So you're not dealing with a horse who is an unfamiliar commodity in South Florida. So he definitely rates a long look.
Solid crew in the first for 10K. On to the second, we go from a battle-hardened field of veterans to a group of first-time starters, with the exception of the outside horse, the 6, Another Key. Wesley Ward had entered 2. He scratched the 2, Sea of Make make-believe. He goes with the 4 Confidential. And as far as, the way they're betting this race early on, it would appear the 3 and 4, Dial 1 and the 4 Confidential will be the big 2.
Yeah, I think so, and I think you would agree that this race is going to be won or lost about 3 steps out of the gate.
Yeah.
If the 3 beats the 4 to the lead, the 3 will win. If the 4 beats the 3 to the lead, the 4 will win.
Yeah.
I really do think they're the top 2, simply because the 1 particularity has 2 problems. 1, the rail, and 2, the rider with the rail. Panici's great, but not sprinting on turf with a 2-year-old first-time starter that may need to be forwardly placed. I like to see that Gaffleon's riding for Pletcher, which is why the Nix horse didn't get Gaffleon.
Yeah, fair enough. And Tyler taking the call for a trainer who obviously is a first ballot Hall of Famer, will likely be odds on to win the Preakness today for the first time in his career. But as far as his numbers with 2-year-old turf sprinters, and we're talking about first-time starters, just not his cup of tea at 5 for 43 over the last 60 months, batting 12%. Here at Gulfstream Park, they're 0 for 8. Now, granted, a number of those starters, in fact, the bulk of the 8 in the bottom sample, all came during the championship meet at the end of the year as opposed to mid-May. Still, it is a food for thought stat with the horse who's going to be a short price. But the dialed ins, they've been very precocious, I must say.
Yeah, and you like the data link pedigrees as well.
Yeah. His horse has sold really well. I like the Breeze. I watched the OBS Breeze. He won an 8th in 10 and 1. Got that high turf action. Not much to go on as far as the dam side in regards to any quality, but Wesley Ward as good as anybody, getting them cranked up to win first time out. It's Pletcher versus Ward in race number 2.
Indeed. Like to see Montalvo named on Ward. I hope that allegiance continues.
Yeah, I know you're a big Carlos Montalvo fan. On to race number 3, we continue on the turf. In fact, our opening pick 3 is all on the green today. Good race. 3-year-old fillies in this $35,000 starter optional claimer. We go with 7, and you do have a number of horses like the 2 Fashion Factor and the 4 Natrona Girl who are stepping up and meeting better. They're both very live in this race, and you and I were talking before the show began. I like, for better or for worse, right or wrong, I like the 4 Natrona Girl, who I think might be a little handier than that running line shows. Let's go back to her career debut here for David Fox on April 30th, a race in which she just was off poorly, to say the least. It was a sloppy break out of the gate. She is the number 7. She's got to steady a little bit there. She's wide around the first turn. She's very keen. She's very rank, and I was pretty impressed, Pete, that she was able to gain as much ground as she did, basically under wraps throughout the backstretch. She's already pulling a tough trip to win here at Gulfstream.
Absolutely, and I think the reason why she probably had that success is she wasn't in against very much. The waters get quite a bit deeper. That said, you see her on my ticket too. She ran huge. She ran too good to ignore, especially since she's 6 to 1 on the morning line. She'll do 2 things you really can't do on this course. She'll lose ground on the first turn while being headstrong, and she'll make a wide move on the outside at the last turn. Those 2 things in totality, she might be the only winner in the last 90 days to do that with any amount of success. Maybe Completely Bonkers is the only other horse I can think of, but she was very impressive in the career unveiling.
Now again, the water gets much deeper. Lancaster is I think Lancaster's in tomorrow. She might be running today. I don't know. Days are all mixed up. She's not much, and she's going to have to step up her game. Maybe she surprised her connections a little bit. I like what I see with the 4 Natrona Girl in a compact field off that trip, that I think she's a little handier than that running line belies, and maybe she's the one that picks up the sort of stalking spot off the 6, Renee's Cat.
Bidacor is the best horse, but she has a huge tactical disadvantage in this race. This race is a compact field with not a lot of dedicated speed. In fact, I was struggling to find any, and that's not good news if you like Bidacora. But the good news is she's been running against older horses. She's been running well against older horses. She was much the best in her last race. Now, the number 6, Renee's Cat. If you want the dope on the Tampa form there, I can give it to you. She's been running well against horses that would stack up just fine against this level of competition. She's run well on the turf going long, and jockey Jose Alvarez riding first call for Dennis Ward. She beat a good field last time out and did it with authority. She does not have to have the lead, but at this trip and at this level, I think she'll be forwardly placed and try to steal it.
I love your go-to knowledge on the Tampa Bay racing. Now, no Fashion Factor, the 2 for you, picked up off Christophe Command. Just not good enough?
Not good enough, and I mean, I challenge anybody to try to improve on Christophe Clement. Sorry.
That's a big iffy there, even though the trainer that now has her, Armando de la Cerda, runs her back only 2 weeks after the claim and has done pretty well in his own right, claiming horses out of the claim box, of course. On to race number 4, my friend. First dirt race on the card. Took us a while, but we're there. 5.5 furlongs. 3 and up, maiden special weight. We go with 6. This is a race where you start to look around and you kind of, for better or for worse, you just lean in the direction of first-time starters. With Salary from the rail and the number 4 Gregory Sun, who you picked on top, I'll take the Lisa Lewis firster.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I didn't use the Lisa Lewis her firster on top is the rail draw first time out, but that won't matter about 3 steps out of there as long as he doesn't have a slow break or has some form of tactical speed. I have no confidence in how the pace is going to develop in this race because the 1 and 4 are unknown commodities, and in my view, the 5 is somewhat of an unknown commodity because Lenstar for Nick Zito freaked that day, blasted to a clear lead, and blew the doors off a field. Baba Toby was in that race, but didn't run very much, only beat 2 home, but at the same time maybe got something out of that from a mental standpoint. I think the same 4 horses we have, I mean, we just switch them around as per usual. They're the right ones. The 1 and 4 first-timers of the horses that have raced, the 2 and 5 have the most upside.
All right, not Baba Booey, Baba Toby, and coming out of a much better field and a horse. If the 1 and 4 don't show any early foot out of the gate, that horse might wind up on an uncontested lead going 5.5 furlongs. Could be all they wrote. Anything to add, my friend, on the 4th? There's just not much to say here before we see the odds. On to the 5th, dude. Let's get on to this group of 8. Field of 8, 3 and up. 6250 claimers. They will meet at 6 furlongs on the main track. You could take out the 5 Private Safe. You mentioned the number 6 Spurs and Bows. I use this horse somewhat defensively in that super in 4th. This is one of these Frank Carl Calabrese horses, now with trainer Angel Rodriguez, who just doesn't have a heck of a lot of back form to go on here. And the fact that this horse basically, as of late, has been a 6250 claimer in 2 lifetime races, I think is a major negative stepping up and facing a much more seasoned, talented field. Yeah,
I agree with that. The good news is that he had to need that first race off the layoff when he got claimed out of the service shed row. The good news is that he won last time as a heavy favorite. The bad news is he beat very little doing it and did it with a less than optimum pace trip. So I think he's a beatable favorite. I agree with you there.
Yeah, this is a trainer that since I got here seems to have had quite a few short-priced horses. In fact, 9 losing favorites here at Gulfstream Park over the last 30 days. And the barn's only gone 4 for 20 here over that 30-day span with 9 losing favorites. So something to think about. Now, Remarkable Tale's a horse that I thought might run second yesterday to a Vast Matey. He obviously scratched out of a race early on the Friday program at Gulfstream. I like him here off the claim for trainer Elizabeth Doblers, who does good work, and I like the last out effort with Remarkable Tale. I'm sure you remember calling the race because this horse had a pretty impossible trip, and any runner, and he's the 6th in this one back on April 22nd, by the way, any runner that's able to go as wide as he angled out and is able to gain as much ground as quick as he did through the final 3/16s, I think that's a good effort over this main track at Gulfstream.
But I don't know what he was doing it against. I was not a fan of the caliber of that race. The eventual winners in the red blinkers, 3 off the inside, Indiana Cowboy. I'm not an Indiana Cowboy fan. There was Cyber Josh down the center there with inside horse that was Gone Deep, who ended up being 3rd. He was coming off an extended vacation with ugly form. I think Remarkable Tale's race was excellent, but he's going to have to do it against a field that's better than the field he faced in his most recent, and he'll take some money. So for me, no thanks.
All right, with your man Montalvo riding, Elizabeth Doblers, not a barn I'm really familiar with. Again, still very much learning this circuit at Gulfstream Park, but she's done good work. Limited sample, but again, we're dealing with a modest-sized barn. So the fact that she's gone over the last 5 years, 3 for 9 in her first start off the claim, and nearly 80%, 7 of the 9 have finished in the money. That's good enough for me to give a shot to the 4 Remarkable Tale. We agree on the 6 Spurs and Bows being a vulnerable favorite. Who do you like here in the 5th?
I went with the rail horse, Eric's Talisman. I think he's still in good form. His last 2 races were excellent. Monterey Jr. clearly gets along well with this horse. He'll be in front of the key contender, your horse, the number 4, Remarkable Tale. I also wouldn't be surprised to see him in front of Spurs and Bows. And if he can get in front of Spurs and Bows without being compromised from the rail, I think he's going to get first run on the speed, whomever that may be. Whoever it is, I'm not concerned with. And I'll go for the first run angle on a horse that's in good form. The race 2 back, he won, and Woodburn came back to beat a field that was just okay. Kamsafu was an easy winner last time out. Class-wise, company-wise, and form-wise, he makes sense to me here.
You're like a racing encyclopedia, my friend. I love it. We've got a Rainbow 6 to talk about, nearly $300K in the carryover pool. Who do we like? Why do we like? We'll find out after this quick break.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. Express Bet. We are racing.
We're back just about halfway home. Hope you're having an excellent Preakness day so far. We're off and running here at Gulfstream Park in about 40 minutes. It's Pete and Jason as we get down to the nitty-gritty, my friend. Race number 6. We've got about 10 minutes left on the show, so we'll do these last 6 races somewhat swiftly as I will show you who I like in the Rainbow Six. And like, at least for this opening leg, is a word that might be a little too generous. I just didn't have a heck of a lot of confidence in any of these horses. I'll use 2 speeds and a closer. We are going to go 1-5 in races 7 and 8. George Weaver's dropped down in the 9th. If I had to make a single, Pete is giving me the thumbs up. That makes me very happy with the 7. Saratoga 2-step. I'll use 3, including the Turnback Super Lucky, the number 8 Quixote, and the Speedster French Quarter in our featured 10th race, the Big Drama. And to wrap it up, 1, 3, and 4, very much in favor of horses with inside posts in Saturday's nightcap. So let's talk about the field here, Mr. Pete, in race number 6. Again, I prefer, at least as far as the win goes, the speed of Bassiata, who's got to get away, and this is key early on of the number 3. There goes Bella.
Which is why I didn't use either one. I don't trust them on their own merit when you put them together and both have speed. But then again, I don't trust anybody in this race. Number 8 looking fabulous, has some old school angles to enjoy. Rider switch from the Bug Boy to Miguel Vasquez. First race off the layoff was in the slop. Now gets back going 2 turns. Ran, I guess, okay enough against special weights the only time she tried turf. There are some things to like here. She'll have some pace to run at. She'll be a good price. I don't know. Yeah,
best of luck. It is definitely a landmine in the multi-race wagers today. It's
I love that, landmine.
Yeah, you got to survive. I mean, that's what it comes down to in these wagers. And, yes, we hope you survive. We hope you're lucky today, and hope you have a good one at Gulfstream. And we continue the Gulfstream card, of course, with race number 7. 3 and up, 6250 claimers. A number of these horses hit pretty hard and have good recent form to go on. And a number of them, no surprise, are familiar foes, including a trio who faced each other back in the 5th race on April 22nd. Capital City, my friend, as we go back and look at that replay, got a great ride and trip beneath Nick Juarez. Does he pull a comparable trip today?
No, which is why I don't like him on top. Now, I must need a CAT scan for not putting Starship Apache anywhere in my top 4. Simply put, I think I just made a mistake on that. I do like the 3, Crazy Frank C, who is in this race. He's actually back 5th in the blue blinkers. Capital City, the eventual winner, is in front, and Starship Apache is boxing on the outside, grandstand side for Starship Apache. They run against each other. We talked about this yesterday. A lot of the times these are the races that you can find value because, as we just mentioned, Capital City got a perfect trip. He'll take money off of the fact that he won last time, but he'll need that same trip to defeat a lot of the same rivals today.
And if a comparable trip is in the cards to both he and the 5 Starship Apache, I'll take my chances off the claim with Sandy Hernandez. Matty Racing Stables, I know you're a fan of their operation, and I think they claimed one with the trainer who flies under the radar, a guy I've known for many years, who, although he's run, Sandy, only 15 horses over the last year. You go back, you look at his last 5-year starter sample. It's a 20% trainer with over 50 wins. Good trainer, Starship Apache for me. And we all do it. You missed him. I'm sure you'd like to use him in the Super.
Well, let's see my pick 5. Maybe I came to my senses in the late pick 5. Probably not. No, I didn't. I just used the inside 3. The number 1, Fish Fan, second start in South Florida on the drop, Say No More. 2, Capital City. He might get a good trip. I don't want him to beat me. The horse I like is the 3, Crazy Frank C. Strength of the barn switch and the major rider change. I think he's going to move way up at a nice price. I agree 100,000% with your single in race number 9 of Saratoga two-step. I'll hope to get out of the 8th race with the 5, 10, 12. I have no confidence in the 10th. I think it's a wide open betting race, and I needed a single to keep the race affordable. And frankly, Visky Jones is okay by me to single. I like him quite a bit, but Saratoga two-step is the right single regardless of your late pick capabilities.
All
pick
right.
4, pick 3s.
Whatever. Pick whatever's. Pick everything.
Yeah.
We hope you're alive. We hope you crush everything today. The windows here at Gulfstream Park and over at expressbet.com. So that'll do it for race number 7. A 30-plus show veteran, by the way, of Fish. So Fish fan, first time I think I'm seeing him in action. And clearly I knew you were going to give me a look there. Let's move on to race number 8. And speaking of looks, this is our friendly wager race.
Yeah, I understand that I'm going to beat you to the punch. I understand that there's a photo you'd like to show from yesterday.
Yes, thank you very much. You spoiled that. Anyway, can we look at the photo and not to rub it in? I know you like the one Faina quite a bit, but it was Starship, or I should say, what was Star Jersey, right?
Smart jersey.
Smart jersey for this smart New Yorker, or former New Yorker, getting the money by a whisker. The score, if you're concerned about these things, 2-zip. Got 2 pancakes beneath me. Pete looks pretty hungry, has 0. Like that fork? Boop. All right.
Yeah, stick it in me.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Now, the only good news is you might be giving me one here today, not necessarily because my horse is any great shakes, but please enlighten me and the rest of our listening audience on what you like about a trainer who's 0 for 51, a jockey who's 2% over the last 16 months, and a horse who's had opportunities to win, a beaten favorite in 2 of his last 3 races, and 0 for 13. Sell me, sir,
He
on
is
number 1.
Bigger price today, Tom Liz, than in his last few races. I like him cutting back to 5/8. I think he pulls a good trip. He'll get some speed to attack thanks to Toykin, the 5 geopolitical. You've got some speed with the 12 taking to church, perhaps the 9 family crest. I think this race melts down. 14th time the trip. Works out for the one, Tom Liz, 14th time the charm as this trainer gets off the duck for 2017.
Well, the good news is all I have to do is beat you. I thought that was exactly how it was going to play out yesterday. Had I known going into yesterday's pancake wager that photo would be involved, I wouldn't have made the wager because I would have thought that would have been maybe for 2nd or 3rd, but not for the win end. That was a brutal beat. But here I'll go with the 12 taken to church, dropping off the turf, turning back, gets C.J. McMahon on the return call, lost to a horse who got loose on the lead last time out. He's never been in this cheap. He's run well over this track. I think I can outrun you. I don't know if I can win, but he might be a vulnerable favorite on the win end, though, in all seriousness.
Take it to church for you. I've taken you to school the last couple of days, my friend. Let's move on to race number 9.
I have no defense, guys.
No.
I have no defense. The guys in the TV room want me to fight back. I have no defense.
3-zip after today, and I'll get you a medium shirt over by the elevators on the other side of the walking ring.
That's just a low blow.
All right?
Where's the referee?
All
Low
right.
blow.
3 and up, 10K claimers, 5/8 on the turf. We can take out or you can take out the 2 Mr. Smith. You can scratch that horse as well. You'll be up in about 3 or 4 minutes with the second set of changes, Mr. Pete, and enlighten us about the 7 Saratoga two-step. You and I, we agree. We're very bullish on him.
Yeah, I think it's a 7-5 cold punch. The 5, Grand Junior, is the key contender behind him. He's 1 for 24, and he speaks for himself. Saratoga's two-step is a 3-year-old facing older horses, but he's run well over this turf course. He had an excuse in his most recent race. He adds the blinkers for George Weaver, and I just think he's much the best horse. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, big Weaver fan, and this horse well-intentioned for a trainer. He's got an above 20% strike rate with allowance to claiming moves. I like George quite a bit. Been a fan of his for many years.
Me too. My biggest score ever because of him.
He is a horse player's best friend. He really is. No matter what meet, no matter the time of the year. Now, speaking of being big fans and even a friend of horse players, about a little love for big drama. Gets his namesake in the program today. Featured 10th, a good one here as your featured 10th on this Preakness Day card at Gulfstream. Florida Breds, 100K purse. A name for a sprint champion and 2010 BC Sprint winner.
Yep, and Dave Fawkes, who trained Big Drama, is represented in this race with French Quarter, who we both think has a big chance in here. This is a very, very nice race, and even though we're running out of time, the heck with it, because this is too good of a race to not give ample airtime to. I have no opinion in this race other than anybody in here is a very, very nice race.
Now let's talk about Mr. Fawkes. I'm glad you gave a pop to French Quarter, who gets another run at Abounding Legacy. A few of these horses prep for the Big Drama over a very sloppy track on April 23rd. Take us through, my friend, as they turn for home.
This was a really good race by French Quarter. He's been really, really good in his last, actually, every race he's run on this main track has been excellent in one way or the other. That's him drifting off the fence a little bit. He's battling on gamely. Abounding Legacy is actually up the inside of him as he's trying to deal with an outside rival. That was from Richard the Great, who's also in here today. But Abounding Legacy is just going to grind away, and get up and win narrowly over French Quarter. Now, Abounding Legacy got the perfect setup in that particular race, but the other horses in this race will not allow that to happen again.
No, they won't. Now, French Quarter has a good post, and he'll blast off from out there, but can take a look to his inside as to what's going on. As far as potential speed, you may get some, and this is a big step up and a big test for the only 3-year-old in the race, the number 3 Mo Cash. You're familiar with Tampa Bay shippers. What do you think of this guy stepping up and facing a tough grill?
I wouldn't call him a Tampa Bay shipper simply because he's based here in South Florida. Now, that field that he beat in the Florida Cup, the horse that was second in that race, Salute with Honor, is okay. The horse who was third, Reason to Store, speaking of George Reaver, ran an absolutely mind-boggling race. Jose Ortiz rode him. He was the odds-on favorite that day. He got a weird trip. Take nothing away from Mo Cash. He ran huge in that particular race. He beat Don't Come Knockin' 2 back. Well, that's bad news because Don't Come Knockin' dropped the other day and didn't fire a little bit. So Mo Cash is a talented racehorse. He'll be tested for class and seasoning here today. I'll try to beat him. I like the one Wildcat Wish a little bit here for Efren Loza Jr. Efren shipped horses out of town and came back and won stakes in the past. If you need proof of that, simply look up a horse named Fear the Cowboy. He looked very similar to Wildcat Wish. He had good form in Florida. He left. He went to Louisiana. His form in Louisiana was okay, not bad. Came back to Florida and resumed kicking tail. Wildcat Wish likes this racetrack. He fires every time he runs. And in a race like this, I want consistency. I'll take a gamble with Jesus Rios and Efren Loza on the rail.
And you get that consistency, and it's funny, you and I, a pair of Florida breds in a restricted state-bred stake, picked a couple horses who have been plying their trade out in the Midwest, as the number 8 Coyote's done some good things for Midwest thoroughbreds. This is not a private buy. Midwest had him with trainer Tom Amos. He's in good hands today with Armando de la Cerda. He's got excellent numbers here at Gulfstream Park off trainer changes. I would imagine this horse will pull a good trip, stalk and pounce for Armando off the trainer change. What do you think quickly of the 8 Coyote?
First time in South Florida is always a worrisome angle for me, but he's just too good to ignore. This race is really, really good. If you're betting at one race on the card here today, please make it the Big Drama, because this is a value-laden race. There will be no clear-cut favorite. It's a full field, and it's part of a very nice late sequence of pick wagers.
Indeed it is, my friend. 280K or thereabouts on the Rainbow 6 carryover, and who knows, maybe somebody alive for the whole gusto here as we cap the card. Again, a scheduled post of about 625 for race number 11, a 3-and-up 12-5 maiden claimer out of Iona 16th. I preferred, as far as my Rainbow 6, inside post, and I see you and I very much agree as far as our game plan for the last.
Yeah, the number 1, Visky Jones, much the best horse on form. However, he's had his opportunities. He's 0 for 11, maybe 12 will be a lucky one. He got too far back 2 starts ago where he probably beats Casby's Kid. Last time out, he had to check sharply at the 8th pole while desperately needing racing room. He's a little trouble-laden, but this is the kind of race where what else are you going to hang your hat on? Number 2, Le Cabillon ran huge, and I mean huge, 2 starts ago. He was actually much the best horse in my view. Last time out, he didn't fire a little bit, but the good news is the guy who's familiar with him, Alvarado Jr., gets back on. And the 3, Breaking the Storm, you and I both thought he had a major look. I think that's a pretty good jock change. Abby Medina's been riding very well the last couple of weeks. He takes over for Francisco Masonette. His 2 races on the turf are good. His last race was good. He got a good trip in that particular race by Masonette. He'll need another good trip today.
I like seeing the Get Stormy babies running a little bit, no matter what class level they're in at. I think the last, a real step in the right direction for the 3, relatively speaking, Breaking the Storm. And that'll do it, a break in the action, my friend. We'll take a little time out. This man, great Pete Aiello, pancake wager up in race number 8. Follow him on Twitter. Give us a follow as well at Gulfstream Park. And you ready for the second set of changes?
No, because I haven't done any yet.
Oh, well.
We have not smartened you up to that, but since you brought it up, now I get to jab back. We only do one set here in South Florida.
I'm new here, and I'll be with you all day at Gulfstream Park. The man upstairs will be calling the action, and you'll be back with that set of changes right after this quick timeout.